The world remembers civilizations through the objects they left behind, and among those objects, ancient symbols hold a power that feels almost alive. Every line, curve and shape carved into stone or painted on walls carried meanings that shaped how entire societies understood danger, protection, fear, and the invisible world. Across thousands of years, 7 symbols rose above all others for the terror they inspired, the rituals they commanded, and the mysteries that survived long after their creators vanished. This story begins with the most feared marks ever created by human hands, symbols that were believed to influence storms, summon spirits, or curse entire bloodlines, and whose meanings were so carefully guarded that only priests or chosen families were allowed to approach them. Even today, these symbols continue to cause debate because when they appear in forgotten caves or on broken pottery, experts still argue whether they were meant to protect the living or warn them to stay far away. The first symbol that terrified both commoners and kings was the Egyptian Eye of Ra. This eye was not created to represent wisdom or peace. It represented destruction. Ancient Egyptians believed that the Eye of Ra was a living force that could burn enemies with the same heat as the sun. Myths describe moments when the eye left the sky to hunt down those who betrayed the gods, appearing in the form of a lioness with unstoppable fury. Whenever the eye was drawn inside tombs or on temple gates, it was meant as a warning. Crossing that threshold meant risking the anger of a divine power that punished disloyalty without mercy. Many archaeologists found scratched walls where workers tried to remove this symbol before opening a chamber, hoping to avoid whatever curse they believed followed it. A second symbol that carried fear for centuries was the Celtic triquetra. It appears elegant today, but ancient Druids used it as a mark of extreme secrecy. The 3 interlocked loops represented forces that were believed to hold the world together, and any disturbance among those forces meant disaster. This is why the triquetra was carved into ritual stones used only during dangerous ceremonies involving the dead or when tribes expected famine, plague, or invading armies. Villagers refused to touch those stones unless a druid stood beside them. The symbol was considered too powerful for ordinary hands, and some legends claim that those who broke a triquetra carving by accident were believed to bring sickness to their entire family. Even now, some farmers in Ireland refuse to remove old stones with this carving, leaving them untouched in the middle of fields. The third symbol feared across ancient Mesopotamia was the Sumerian dinger. This star-shaped sign represented divine authority, but not in a peaceful way. When this symbol appeared on clay tablets or palace walls, it meant that the god associated with it demanded obedience and punishment would be absolute. Kings placed the dinger above their laws to show that they ruled through fear granted by the gods themselves. Anyone who lied, stole, or disobeyed in the presence of this symbol faced execution because such crimes were considered direct insults to the heavens. Archaeologists discovered tablets where scribes pressed the dinger repeatedly beside the names of enemies, as if calling divine wrath upon them. For the people living under these rules, the symbol was a constant reminder that justice was brutal and the gods were watching without forgiveness. A fourth symbol that carried deep danger was the Norse helm of awe. Warriors carved it into their helmets before battle, but the symbol was not meant only for courage. It was believed to unleash a force that paralyzed enemies with terror, a mental and spiritual attack that caused confusion and weakness. According to sagas, warriors who entered battle marked with the helm of awe were touched by something beyond the physical world. Some described seeing shadows surrounding those fighters, moving alongside them as if guiding their weapons. The symbol carried such an intense aura that families sometimes refused to bring the carved helmets inside their homes after a warrior died. They believed the symbol absorbed every act of violence committed in battle, and bringing it indoors could invite the spirits of those defeated enemies. The fifth symbol that haunted desert civilizations was the Babylonian scorpion seal. It appeared on amulets worn by hunters and priests, but this was not a mark of protection. The scorpion in ancient Babylon represented a guardian of the underworld, and placing its image upon objects meant invoking a creature that patrolled the borders between life and death. Those who used it believed that it could poison the spirits of enemies or summon nightmares strong enough to weaken their will. The symbol was hidden under clothing, away from the eyes of children, because it was believed that the nightmares it called would attack the innocent more easily. Many tablets discovered in ruined temples describe rituals performed before touching an object marked with a scorpion seal, as if mishandling it could open a path to realms humans were never meant to see. The sixth symbol that spread fear across ancient Mesoamerica was the Aztec Tonatiuh sun face. This symbol represented the god who demanded continuous sacrifices to keep the world alive. Whenever the sun face appeared on stone discs, temple walls, or warrior shields, It served as a reminder that the Aztec world survived only through offering blood to their gods. Priests held ceremonies where thousands gathered around platforms carved with this symbol, knowing that chosen warriors or captured enemies would be sacrificed to maintain cosmic balance. The Tonatiuh face was carved in places where no one could ignore it, reminding the population that disobedience would anger the sun and darkness would follow. For modern historians, the symbol offers a glimpse into a society where fear and devotion were inseparable. The seventh symbol feared across ancient India was the Kala face. It appeared at the entrances of temples, carved with fangs, wide eyes, and a mouth that seemed to devour time itself. This symbol represented a guardian that punished those who approached sacred places with impure intentions. People believed that the Kala face did not only watch over temples but also followed anyone who lied or behaved with jealousy inside holy grounds. Its presence warned visitors that the spiritual world reacted instantly to human actions. The Kala face was carved so realistically that even today travelers in old Indian temples say they feel a sensation of being judged when they stand before it. Each of these symbols shaped the fears and beliefs of their civilizations, carrying meanings meant to control, protect, or punish. The deeper their stories go, the more they reveal how ancient people understood power and the invisible world around them. Across civilizations separated by oceans and centuries, these seven symbols gained their power not only from the myths surrounding them but from the moments when people believed they had witnessed those powers at work. Stories passed from parents to children turned each symbol into something more than an image carved into stone. They became living presences, forces that shaped decisions, guided wars, punished betrayals, and defined entire generations. As the world changed and religions rose and fell, the symbols survived through fragments of pottery, shattered temples, and scrolls hidden beneath sand. Yet even in their broken form, each symbol carried a fear that felt strangely intact, as if the ancient world had placed a warning inside the lines themselves. The Eye of Ra continued to spark unease among workers exploring forgotten Egyptian chambers. Some excavation notes from the early 1900s describe moments when workers refused to break through a sealed door if the eye was painted above it. They believed that disturbing the chamber would awaken the same destructive force that ancient texts described as burning deserts and punishing kings who defied the gods. Whether the fear came from superstition or respect for the past, the symbol created an invisible boundary that even trained archaeologists hesitated to cross. In museums across the world, curators still choose to display the eye at a respectful distance, aware that visitors often feel an unexpected heaviness when standing in front of it. The Celtic triquetra moved through time in a different way. Farmers left ritual stones untouched, but modern researchers discovered that even after 2,000 years the symbol remained associated with cycles of life and death. Many believe it was used to mark places where druids attempted to influence fate during moments of danger. That belief persisted long after the rituals disappeared. When a triquetra was found etched inside burial mounds, villagers claimed the symbol was meant to confuse spirits wandering between worlds. The idea that the triquetra holds unstable power still echoes in rural Ireland, where people speak quietly when passing one of the ancient stones, as if not to disturb whatever force the loops once held. The Sumerian dinger continued to generate debate among historians who try to understand how a symbol representing divine authority could be used both to justify mercy and to demand brutal punishment. In ancient courts, the dinger on clay tablets meant that the decision handed down was considered absolute. Modern scholars studying those tablets describe a society shaped by fear of heavenly retribution. Even today, when the symbol is found on newly unearthed fragments, researchers handle them with unusual caution. They are not afraid of curses, but they recognize that the tablets hold some of humanity's earliest expressions of power enforced through divine fear. The dinger survives as a reminder that the oldest governments in the world were built on the belief that the gods watched the smallest human action. The Norse helm of awe still fascinates experts who study Viking warfare. Although its supernatural reputation is impossible to prove, helmets engraved with the symbol show signs of intentional ritual wear, as if the warriors performed ceremonies before and after battle to activate and then quiet the symbol's power. Some believe that the mental focus required to prepare for battle helped create the terrifying aura the symbol became known for. Traces of this belief survive in Icelandic manuscripts describing warriors who claimed they could feel something moving behind them when the helm of awe was carved on their armor. Whether psychological or spiritual, the symbol's impact was strong enough to influence how entire clans prepared for war. The Babylonian scorpion seal reveals another window into ancient belief. Archaeologists found amulets carved with the scorpion placed in graves as if to guard the dead from threats in the afterlife. Priests believed the symbol connected directly to underworld guardians who protected the borders between worlds. That belief created rituals that sound unsettling even today. Some texts describe priests whispering incantations while holding the amulets over bowls of water, watching for ripples that they believed came from spirits responding to the symbol. The scorpion seal carried a reputation so intense that even modern scholars studying the artifacts avoid working late in isolated rooms, joking that the symbol attracts uneasy dreams. The Aztec Tonatiuh sun face retained its intimidating presence long after the empire fell. Archaeologists clearing old ceremonial platforms discovered that every stone carrying the sun face was placed deliberately, aligning with celestial events. This suggests that sacrifices timed with the position of the sun were believed to maintain universal order. Modern visitors at museums often describe feeling overwhelmed when looking at the sun face carved on massive stone discs, as if sensing the weight of the rituals once performed beneath it. For the Aztecs, the symbol was not art or decoration. It was the center of their entire relationship with the cosmos, a reminder that survival required constant offerings to keep the world from falling into darkness. The Kala face of ancient India continues to evoke unease among travelers and historians. Temples featuring this symbol were believed to be protected by a guardian that consumed evil intentions. Priests wrote that any visitor who lied inside the temple would feel the gaze of the Kala face follow them even after they left. Some modern restoration workers claim they feel chills when working near these carvings, particularly in dim corridors where the fanged mouth seems to shift with the flicker of light. The symbol stands as one of the oldest warnings carved into architecture, a reminder that sacred spaces demanded honesty from every person who entered. As each symbol passes through time, its meaning changes but its emotional force remains untouched. These images survived because they captured something universal, something humans continue to feel when standing before the unknown. As centuries passed and new civilizations rose, the seven symbols continued traveling quietly across cultures, almost as if carried by an invisible thread. Their shapes reappeared on manuscripts, jewelry, shields, and temple entrances, even among people who no longer understood their original meaning. It was as though the symbols transmitted a memory older than the societies that adopted them, a memory of danger, fear, and unseen forces that once governed daily life. Modern historians often remark that these symbols survived not because they were simple illustrations, but because they touched a part of human nature that remains unchanged. People still fear the unknown, still seek protection, and still feel drawn to images that promise power beyond human reach. That is why each symbol kept evolving while retaining the same unsettling aura that first made them legendary. The Eye of Ra began appearing in unexpected places after the decline of ancient Egypt. Traders carried amulets bearing the symbol across the Mediterranean, spreading the belief that the eye could repel curses and punish betrayal. Some scrolls from the Roman era describe soldiers who carved the eye onto shields during campaigns in foreign lands, hoping to carry the destructive heat of the Egyptian sun into battle. Even in modern excavations, researchers find small bronze or terracotta amulets shaped like the eye inside burial sites outside Egypt, a sign that people far from the Nile feared its power enough to bury it with their dead. Its presence in so many places suggests that the symbol transformed into a silent guardian for some and a threat for others, depending on how people interpreted the myths carried by merchants and storytellers. The Celtic triquetra also traveled widely, carried not by trade but by migration and conquest. As tribes moved across Europe, the triquetra appeared on weapons, pottery, and boundary stones. In some places, it marked areas where people believed wandering spirits crossed into the human world. In others, it identified sacred groves where rituals involving fire and water tied the three forces represented in the loops. When Christianity spread through Celtic lands, monks preserved the symbol inside illuminated manuscripts without fully understanding its origins. They recognized only that the shape held ancient significance and that removing it entirely might upset local populations who had grown up fearing its power. This allowed the triquetra to survive not as a religious icon, but as a mysterious shape that carried both respect and superstition. The Sumerian Dinger symbol, despite coming from one of the earliest civilizations on Earth, continued to shape belief systems long after its empire collapsed. Later cultures inherited the idea that the divine could be represented by a star-shaped mark placed above names or laws. Clay tablets from neighboring regions show variations of the Dinger used to declare the authority of rulers who never knew the original Sumerian gods. This proves that although the meanings shifted over time, the symbol's association with cosmic judgment remained intact. Even today, Linguists studying early writing systems describe the dinger as one of the foundational marks that shaped how ancient societies communicated divine power. Its survival into modern scholarship is a reminder that symbolic fear can outlast entire kingdoms. The Norse helm of awe left a different kind of legacy. As Viking influence spread across northern Europe, stories of warriors marked by the symbol grew larger than life. Later generations retold sagas of unbeatable fighters who claimed their strength did not come from skill alone, but from a supernatural force awakened by the symbol's shape. Archaeological finds show that long after the Viking Age, craftsmen continued engraving similar patterns into tools and ornaments, perhaps hoping to capture a fragment of the fear the symbol once commanded. Some rural communities in Scandinavia still carve the symbol into wooden doors as a superstition, believing it discourages misfortune from entering the home. While the original rituals surrounding the Helm of Awe have been lost, its reputation as a shield against danger persists. The Babylonian scorpion seal drifted into neighboring cultures as well, often stripped of its original connection to the underworld but retaining its reputation as a mark that channeled dangerous energy. Some amulets found in ancient Persian sites feature scorpion carvings remarkably similar to the Babylonian design, suggesting that people continued to fear the creature's symbolic bite. In certain regions, the seal became associated with protection against venomous animals, while in others it remained linked to spirits of death. The dual interpretation strengthened the symbol's endurance. Even today, archaeologists handling scorpion-marked amulets report a strange sensation of heaviness, as if the object carries memories of rituals meant to bridge the living and the dead. The Aztec Tonatiuh sun face left an unmistakable impact long after the empire's fall. Spanish chroniclers described how local communities continued to fear the symbol even after abandoning the rituals connected to it. Some believed that destroying a stone carving of the sun face would invite droughts or crop failure, so they left many pieces buried instead of removing them. Modern researchers studying these sites often find the symbol hidden intentionally, protected from light or weather, as if locals felt destroying it completely would disturb cosmic balance. Museums today display replicas for public education while preserving the original stones in controlled environments, acknowledging the uneasy power the symbol still holds for descendants of the region's ancient cultures. The Kala face remained deeply influential across India, especially in temple architecture. Even in the modern era, sculptures of the Kala face are maintained with extraordinary care. Artisans who restore the carvings do so with quiet respect, aware that many families consider the symbol a warning against dishonesty and misdeeds. Travelers often notice that people lower their voices when passing beneath the fanged mouth of the guardian. In older villages, elders still tell stories of visitors who behaved with arrogance inside temples and later claimed they felt followed by an unseen presence. These tales preserve the ancient belief that the Kala face does not merely protect sacred places but observes the inner nature of anyone who enters. Over time, these 7 symbols formed a silent chain of human memory stretched across continents. Their survival shows that fear, reverence, and the search for meaning are forces as old as civilization itself. Even without their original cultures, the symbols continue to command attention, reminding the modern world that the past never truly disappears. As the meanings of these symbols traveled through time, they slowly became mirrors reflecting the fears and hopes of each generation that rediscovered them. Their shapes remained the same, but every culture that touched them layered new stories on top of the old ones, creating a chain of beliefs that stretched from the first temples of stone to the modern museums that preserve them today. What makes these symbols so powerful is not only the myths carved into them but the way humans continue to react when standing before them. Even with all our knowledge, technology, and history, there is still something unsettling in the presence of an ancient mark that once commanded life, death, and cosmic order. These symbols remind us that the people who created them lived in a world where the unseen was just as real as the visible, and where survival often depended on respecting forces far beyond human control. The Eye of Ra continues to fascinate scholars who study how symbols evolve across civilizations. Many believe it survived because it expressed a universal fear of divine justice. The same can be said of the Celtic triquetra, whose interlocking loops remain a reminder of how ancient societies tried to understand cycles of life and death. Meanwhile, the Sumerian dinger still stands as proof that the earliest laws were backed not only by rulers but by the threat of cosmic punishment. These symbols were not meant to comfort. They were created to warn, to intimidate, and to establish a connection between ordinary people and forces they believed shaped every moment of existence. The Helm of Awe and the Scorpion Seal reveal the darker side of human belief, where protection and danger blend together. Generations of warriors, Priests and rulers used these marks because they believed power could be summoned through shape alone. Their influence lasted far beyond the civilizations that crafted them, proving that symbols can carry emotions long after their original meaning fades. The Tonatiuh sun face stands as one of the strongest examples of this, a symbol so feared that people chose to hide it rather than destroy it. And the Kala face, with its fanged mouth and watchful eyes, remains a guardian carved into stone, bridging the worlds of the living and the sacred. What all 7 symbols share is a sense of presence, as if the people who carved them expected them to continue working long after their hands turned to dust. They survive because they represent something that every society has struggled with at some point, a desire to understand what lies beyond the limits of the physical world. Whether viewed as warnings, guardians, or expressions of divine justice, these symbols remain powerful reminders of how deeply ancient civilizations believed in forces that shaped their lives. To everyone who has watched, supported, and shared this journey through the mysteries of the ancient world, gratitude is extended. Your presence keeps these stories alive and allows this format to grow stronger every day. If you are enjoying this new style of video, feel free to leave a comment and share your thoughts. Your feedback helps guide the next explorations into the forgotten symbols, rituals, and legends that shaped human history.